On today's show, we travel to the Van Hook Arm on Lake Sakakawea in western North Dakota in mid-May, where we pitch jigs in shallow water for post-spawn walleyes. Riding shotgun with Lake Sakakawea fishing legend Clayton Folden.
Hey, I got a good fish on here.
Do you?
Yep.
Jeez, that's right where they're at. In that 15, 16
Can't wait to see this one. This is a good fish. Staying down nice. Haven't been able to even crank on the reel handle hardly yet.
Well, that's the fish you was looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here, let me get that bag out of your way.
I can't wait to see what this fish is. Oh, beautiful walleye. Look at there. Look at there. Isn't that a beautiful fish? That's a nice way to start out the day. Wow, look at that. Thank you, Clayton. That is a dandy. Looked right in the tip of the beak, but man, isn't that a fat, beautiful fish? Wow, that is a tank of a fish. Get the line untangled off of her here and get her back in the water. There. What a dandy. Look at that fish in the water. Tell you what, we're on Lake Sakakawea, and this lake has really come on. I would say it's one of the places right now if you want to catch walleyes. About 5 to 10 years ago, this lake really suffered from a prolonged drought where the water levels were down. The main forage in this lake, the rainbow smelt, those populations crashed, and as a result, the walleye fishing out here was pretty tough not that long ago, but that's a distant memory now, and the water is up and the forager's back, and you saw the shape of that fish. These fish are really healthy, and I tell you what, this is an up-and-coming spot. The last couple of years have been really solid in this lake, and the next few years should be just excellent, but it's definitely a spot to put on your radar. And with me today is a gentleman that's probably handled and touched more walleyes on this lake than anybody, Clayton Folden out of Newtown, and he used to guide on this lake for years. And the thing that strikes me about Clayton is that Clayton really knew how to catch these fish out here and really knew this system long before most people did. And he's going to share a few tips that are going to help you catch a lot more fish on this reservoir coming up.
You know, all the years we fished out here, the June raise starts about mid-June or early June, and the water warms up real good, and it pushes those fish up shallow on the sunken islands or on the shorelines. Mainly the sunken islands and stuff is where we have our best luck. But when the paddlefish start jumping, the water temperature is normally about in the mid-70s, and that's when the walleyes are actually starting to bite the most. So we're a little early, but you know, they have been biting, but it seems to me over all the years that we guided and all the years we've fished, when that water temperature gets around 70 degrees in the Van Hook Arm, it's by far the best. And it continues, you know, until late July. And then you know, the water temperature is probably getting a little too warm, and they start moving down, you know, like on the sunken islands down at Shell Village, and you know, we're at the mouth of the river channel. It's about 15 miles south, and that's when we start moving. They come up in here, and then they start moving out, and then real late in the fall, then we start getting them back in here again. They start moving in here for the winter, and over the years, the smelt population's been staying pretty consistent lately, and when we have the smelt up in here, we got all the fish up here.
What do you got there?
White bass, I think. A big white bass. Could be a walleye.
Yeah, I'll grab the net here for you. Oh yeah, nice walleye, Clayton. Oh yeah. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Jig popped out in the net, but they all count the same, don't they? Oh. Yeah, that's a healthy fish.
They're fat, aren't they?
They are fat. That's impressive. The girth on these fish is impressive. That's a healthy fish.
More Jason Mitchell Outdoors coming up after the break.
Isn't that just a beautiful fish right there? Here's a fish. There we go. This is a good fish here.
You want that bag in?
You know what? I'll be able to work around that, Clayton.
Okay.
Yeah, he's staying down nice. Yeah, this is a really good fish. Boy, don't you love that? Catching fish on a jig, that's about as good as it gets, isn't it? Boy, I want to see what this fish is. It's a good one. Oh yeah, look at there. Beautiful walleye. Beautiful walleye. You know, the sun's starting to pop out now, and that should help, shouldn't it, Clayton?
It's going to make a lot of difference. That's
Yeah, early in the year, it's really all about water temperature, isn't it?
Temperature, and she's warmed up like 3 degrees since we started this morning.
Yeah, there, isn't that a beauty? There we go. Thank you, sir. There.
That's a chunk.
Nice, nice, nice. Look at this fish out of the net here. Show her off. Yeah, these are just gorgeous fish. Get her untangled here. Yeah, that's just isn't that just a beautiful fish right there? And what we're doing is we're basically fishing shallow structure. And last couple of days, throw that fish back. Last couple of days, there's been about 2 inches of rain, and so the bite's been shallow, but what we noticed right away this morning is after all this cold weather and rain that's come through, fish are a touch deeper. But general rule of thumb is early in the year, if you get stable weather, if you get sunshine out, these fish will push up. Reason being is that they like the heat too. You know, that warmer water speeds up their metabolism, and so what we're anticipating is the afternoon progresses, we should keep finding fish shallower and shallower. And so that fish there came shallow. I pitched it up onto the reef here, but that's really typical here in the Van Hook Arm. Early in the year is look for that shallow structure and look for that warm water. And I tell you what, using a jig, fishing it slow in that situation is really an ideal way to catch these walleyes. Boy, that fish was shallow too, wasn't it? There we go. Whoa. Dandy. Dandy fish. Oh, it came out easy, but yeah, that's just a beauty. Wow, I'll get that fish in the water here right away.
Little shiny minnow.
Yeah, we're just using some of the smallest minnows in the bucket. Every day is different, but for whatever reason, that's what the fish want. You know, Clayton, with all the years that you've spent on the Van Hook Arm, what are the different changes that you've seen, and how does the fishing now compare to what it was in some of the glory years of the past?
You know, the future of this lake, as far as I can see, remains in the hands of the Corps of Engineers, the Game and Fish Department, and the people themselves. You know, you see a lot more people releasing fish now than what we did in the 70s. You kept every one of those fish. I think if Game and Fish and the Corps of Engineers and everybody can work together with this lake, we'll have a fishery for the future that's going to be unreal.
See if we can get a few head shakes out of her. Whoa. Try to wear her down here.
Seems like in the spring of the year like this, when they first start, they are full of fight.
Isn't that fun? And I imagine too, you know, these fish are just up there with that sun hitting their backs, just like a turtle on a rock. Yeah, thank you. Get that fish unhooked here, but just a dandy, beautiful walleye. Right in the corner of the beak here. There, we got her out. Yeah, that's just a respectable walleye right there. But that's fun, and I tell you what, I mean, there's no right or wrong way to fish, in the sense if you fish enough, you're going to figure out that anything can work at any time. But I really do believe that early in the year, there's a lot of advantages to using monofilament. I know braided line has really taken over a lot of jig fishing applications, but I still like to use mono a lot early in the year. And I think the reason it works so well is that it causes the presentation to be somewhat subtle, in the sense that you snap that jig, you work that jig through the water, and it just kind of coasts and hangs and just kind of floats. And it makes it real easy for these fish to hit. I mean, when that jig's just hanging there, the fish, you just punch it and suck that jig in. Whereas use braided line, I think the movement on the jig's a lot more herky-jerky. And so the fish feels you quicker, you feel the fish quicker. But early on in the year, definitely always try mono, because I really believe that it can really give you an edge early in the season. The Van Hook arm really is a structure fisherman's dream, and what is so neat about this particular part of the lake is there's just so much stuff to fish. I mean, there's countless islands and humps that come up out of deep water. There's big flats, there's points. I mean, if you go further south, you run into the old river channel. But Clayton made a comment earlier that you couldn't possibly, fish all these different spots in a couple of days. And actually, I mean, it's taken him his whole life to learn this, and he probably knows this water better than anybody. But there's just an endless amount of stuff to fish, and so that's really neat. You can kind of see how it just spreads all the boats out, and I mean, it's just endless. But at the same time, what's really neat about it too is that even though it's big water, there's all kinds of spots to fish. This is really precision fishing. I mean, you'll see a lot of these guys are running back trollers, or they're running tiller boats. Real precise presentation, and at the end of the day, catching fish out here is all about boat control.
Well, you're right, Jason. I've run nothing but tiller boats. I've never had a steering wheel boat. And the reason, you can stay right on top of those fish all day long. And I like the back troller type fishing, with the rear steering, and it's just a lot easier.
There's a good one, Clayton.
And that little yellow fireball is the ticket.
Boy, these fish are strong.
Well, I'm starting to feel a little better about this fishing.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
was getting a little worried there for a while.
That's so typical early in the year, though, is afternoons are where it's at a lot of times.
Nice.
That's a beautiful Lake Sakakawea walleye there.
Kind of hooked on the side.
Yep. Just kind of wear her out. It's not hooked real good, but there we go. Thank you, sir. Yeah, beautiful fish. Thank you, Clayton.
You bet. They're here. We just got to have a little patience.
Yep. I tell you what, I bet that water temperature is going to bump up a degree or two with this sun the way it is.
51 to 53.8, so she's come up 2.5, 3 degrees.
Yeah. That is just a beautiful walleye right there. I'll get that fish in the water. But I absolutely love that. Pitching jigs up into shallow water and feeling that little thunk, setting the hook and just feeling that rod bend. That's as good as walleye fishing gets.
Early in the season, shallow flats with rock or gravel bottom often hold walleyes. The key is to find warmer water temperatures and fish these locations with slow presentations.
Typically starting out early in the year, it's predominantly a minnow bite. Some cases you can use soft plastics, but that's just a classic Northland Fireball jig, and that's got a short shank on it. I think what happens when you use a short shank hook in a lot of cases, it causes that minnow to really roll around a lot and gives it some action. But with that being said, we're just running it through the top of the head and then coming out through the side or through the back, just they stay on. And you don't need that minnow real lively. All it is just a piece of meat that has some flash on it that smells and tastes and looks like a fish. But basically just pitching them up into shallow water, and every day is different. You can pop it back, you can snap the jig a little bit. Caught a few fish today just dragging it, just kind of twitching along the bottom, but early in the year, you can't go wrong with that combination. 6-pound monofilament, 1/4 ounce Fireball jig, or in some cases an 1/8 ounce jig, and then just a fathead minnow hooked on there so it doesn't come off, just so you're more efficient. And that'll catch a lot of fish on Lake Sakakawea early in the year. There's a good fish, Clayton. Fish has got some shoulders on it too.
Good.
Oh, it's so great to see this lake doing so well. Oh yeah, there's a dandy. There we go. Thank you, sir. Yeah, gorgeous fish. Yeah, that's just a dandy of a fish here.
Should have had a double.
You missed one right there?
Yeah.
Boy, they're in here. Isn't that neat though? Just these small little spots and just find pods of fish, and boy, is that fun. Look at that fish in the water here. Whoa, Clayton, that was like a good fish. Wow. That's a dandy. That one was right below the boat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'll come in next to you here. Oh yeah, beautiful walleye, Clayton. Whoa. That is as good as it gets right there, isn't it? Here we go. Get her there.
Okay,
There.
go ahead.
Boy, these fish are just thick, aren't they? Boy, that is a dandy. Here, I'll put this fish back. We're gonna have to try to catch one more for supper, I'm afraid.
That's fine with me.
A little bit too big. That was a nice fish there
Yes.
too. I tell you what, it's been a good day. We've caught a lot of fish today. And I tell you what, I've learned a lot. I've long admired you. All these years that I've remember you fishing out here, and I tell you what, I don't know if too many people have put more hours in this water than you have, and the information that you can share with people to help them come out and catch fish, it's pretty impressive.
Well, you know, we've always done that to the people, because we found out years ago when I had the bait shop, if you help them people catch some fish, they come back.
Absolutely.
And then when I bought a bar and restaurant, those people followed me to the bar and restaurant and supported me well there too. So it just, all it tells you is that if you take care of people the way you want to and treat people the way you want to be treated, you can do pretty good.
Well, I'd like to thank you, sir. It's been a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks for watching.
Enjoyed fishing with you.